If you're watching this right now, it's because you're balding or you're bald and you're severely lacking confidence because of it. You want your confidence back. You want to feel good again. You want your life back. You want to stop thinking about your balding hair every time you're trying to just enjoy your life. You're tired of worrying about it every single day. Here's the truth. Balding was actually the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Sure, at first, it completely destroyed me. I fought it. I resisted it. I hid from it. I avoided living my life in so many ways because of it. I literally couldn't bear the thought of becoming a balding man. But what felt like the end back then actually turned out to be the beginning. And for the last 8 years, I've been leading a movement of men who completely rebuild themselves into men capable of way more than they ever thought possible by making incredible changes in the things that they can control. And we call it baldmaxing. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I and hundreds of other men took full control over that balding narrative, full control over their confidence, and took it back from that balding insecurity.
I feel like $1 million, bro. I feel amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like my life changed in a heartbeat.
They did it not relying on, products and hiding and all the rest of it. No, they did it by changing things that they could fully control.
I am extremely happy. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And at the end of this video, you're going to have the exact blueprint, because there's one thing that keeps me up at night, and that is men like you not reaching their full potential because they're stuck with balding insecurity. Now, the blueprint to achieving all of this is what I call baldmaxing. But before I break that down for you, here's why you should listen. So I want to share my story with you. I first started losing my hair when I was 25, and discovering that completely crushed me. I'd been living out in China for 2.5 years at that point, and I sat there after finding out I was losing my hair, just devastated, to be honest, because any sense of hope and pride and excitement for the future that I felt I had was pretty much gone in an instant. And it got worse. Over the best part of a year, I started developing all these different habits to try to keep my balding hidden, because I was so afraid, so unconfident, and so worried that people were going to discover my balding. I just felt like I couldn't handle that. And so I did everything to try and hide it. I would walk down the road like this to try and make the back of my head like higher so people weren't behind me and they couldn't see it. I would sit at the very back of rooms like my classroom to avoid anyone being behind me. Anyway, I was walking down the street one day and I saw this woman walking towards me. Normally I'd just like smile, looking around, and I literally diverted my gaze. I didn't want her to look me in the eye. I didn't want her to see me. And I stopped after I did that in an instant, and I just thought, what have I become? What has happened to me? I'm so afraid. I'm so insecure of this balding. It's literally controlling my life at this point. And I marched home that day and I stood in the mirror and I said, Harry, you need to do something about this. You need to finally make a change, because right now you are a shell of not only the man that you were, but the man that you want to become. I was a victim to balding, and everything that I was doing already up to that point to hide it was showing me that, yeah, I was a victim, and I didn't want to live my life like that. Look, I'd struggled with confidence up to that point. I had been a chubby kid growing up. I'd always struggled with confidence, and I was mistaking at that point in my life external validation for a sense of confidence, right? I was this handsome foreigner overseas that people wanted to take pictures with, and I was mistaking that external validation for true confidence. And now that I was losing my hair, that image that was giving me that external validation was under threat, right? It was being taken away from me. And so I was so terrified of that. But no more. I stood in that mirror, and after literally asking myself that question, Harry, do you really want to carry on living your life like this? Terrified, afraid, unconfident? I marched down to the barber shop, and I literally, after a bit of back and forth, I ordered him to give me a buzz cut. A very short buzz cut. I didn't go for the head shave straight away, the full shave. I said, you need to do this. And I let I walked out of that barbershop for the first time in my life with a true sense of self-belief, because I had pushed into that fear. I had overcome the fear. I had overcome all of that doubt, all of that worry, all of that uncertainty, and I'd finally taken my first step into believing in myself, believing I could handle it. I'd taken my first step to reaching true confidence in myself that I had been missing, not only for that year that balding took over my life, the balding insecurity, but, you know, all my life up to that point. Back at 25, when I was in my deepest struggle with feeling so insecure about my balding, obviously I was out there looking for a solution. And perhaps you are at this point now, or at least you've been there at some point along this journey. And you probably looked at a lot of these things I've got here on this board, and I want to go through them with you now. I looked at these options, and at first I landed on hair transplants, and I saw these final results a year on from surgery, and they looked incredible. And I thought, okay, this looks pretty good. But the deeper I dug into that, and the more I listened to people who were talking about this a lot online, I saw that many people were eventually having multiple surgeries. It wasn't just a one and done solution often. Another thing that kind of put me off, to be honest, was the fact that the medication at this point is not optional. If you're investing into that surgery and you actually want to, get these results, then you must be taking the medication. And something about that I just felt like was really locking me in to something that I then had no option over. The money and the recovery were, kind of considerations, not the biggest ones, but the main one for me is the fact that I saw people often unsatisfied and going back for more surgeries. I then came onto the wigs and the hair systems. Again, I saw so many of those before and afters, when they walk into the salon and then immediately after they put it on, they looked incredible. And I really could see myself back with that full head of hair. But then as I dove deeper onto how to maintain these hair systems, I came across this fact that you needed to keep re-gluing it and using the tape and things like that every week or 2 weeks, keep shaving down the middle. I was worried myself a bit about having sensitive skin and it being irritating on that. But probably my biggest worry with the hair system was the fact that, is it detectable? And I really felt like my mind was going to be no longer worrying about if people can notice I had a bald spot, but can they notice that I'm wearing a wig? And I just couldn't do that. Then the medication, when you're on Instagram, anywhere online, right? You get a lot of these adverts when you start looking at what you can do about hair loss. And I saw people on those before and afters, again, holding onto their hair and talking about how amazing it was. But with the routine that you have to do, right? The daily routine, it wasn't so much about, I need to do this pill and that's going to take me lots of time. No, for me, trying to accept the painful reality that I was balding was one of the things I was struggling with the most, right? And every time the wind blew and I had to go like this, every time I walked out the door and I had to take a picture to see how bad the balding was a painful and constant reminder of that. And I really just felt like every time I took that pill or had to put that minoxidil on in front of the mirror was similarly just a painful reminder of the very thing I was struggling to deal with. And at that point, I just needed it. I needed what I felt like was a final solution. And so medication for me wasn't the one. Another point on that was I really did view medication as something that sick people, have to take every day, people with an illness. And I didn't want to see myself as someone who was sick or frail or needed to medicate. And then I had the fats and the fibers. I saw a lot of adverts on those and it literally looks like magic, right? The bald spot to start with, and then you put it on and boom, it's gone. But I had quite an active lifestyle and I didn't want to be worrying. I was already worried about the wind. Then I was going to have to worry about the rain. I was going to have to worry about seeing it on my clothes and things like that. It for me, the fibers and maybe even wearing hats, it wasn't solving the root cause of the issue. It was just temporarily covering it up. And I wanted more than that. I wanted a better solution than that. And then I landed on the people talking about embracing and shaving the balding hair, embracing it, coming to terms with it. Now, I looked at this option. I thought, well, I'm going to lose my hair. And that's what I'm afraid to do, right? But I looked at these men and none of them were talking about how to manage side effects or whether you needed to worry about that. None of them were talking about the recovery process or the cost of it. All of these men were talking about how empowered they felt, how confident and sort of They had their eyes opened to the fact that they really no longer needed to worry about this. And these men talking about this, I remember a guy specifically, his name was Max. As they were talking about this on camera, just the presence that they had, they looked strong, they looked masculine, they looked really at peace and confident in themselves. There was no faking it, there was no ego. It seemed like true, genuine confidence and strength. And at that point in my life, I was so reserved, such a shell. I was so shying away from living life. That strength was really what I needed. Now, I can't tell you what the right solution is, but for me, I knew my next step. And so I took on the transformation that I needed all along. The problem confronted, I faced it, I shaved it, and I truly beat it. And with that, literally everything changed. There was zero risk, zero pretending, and it led to real confidence for the first time in my life, to be honest, because it was built on truth. There was no more hiding and no more pretending. And that is what sets you free and allows you to move past it and actually grow. Because when you stop swimming upstream and step into who you actually are, you don't only get your time back, your focus back, and that power back, but you discover your true potential. You know, looking back, there's some pretty hard lessons from this journey. Firstly, I stayed stuck and not believing that I could handle what was on the other side of that balding insecurity for far too long. And it eroded that belief in myself, my self-confidence. And I went backwards, to be honest, at a time that should have been the start of my prime years. And the second big lesson is that true confidence, deep-rooted confidence in myself, came from the wins and the proof. It wasn't something that I could fashion together or make up or buy. It certainly wasn't found in holding on to a past image that I had of myself, right? It came through things like PRs in regards to my physique, my strength, getting lean, getting strong, the most I ever had. That truly earned my respect for myself, which then earned the respect of others. That confidence was in the mindset shift from thinking like, why me, to literally like, what's next? What's next for me? What more can I do? It came from leaps, right? I love this one. The courage reps I've written here. Doing hard things on purpose, like taking that first leap with the hair, rather than the opposite, shrinking yourself so that you can handle it, right? Fear shrinks when you move towards it. I love that little quote because it's so, so true. And nothing builds confidence like doing things that you're afraid to do and coming out on the other side looking back like, wow, I did that. Nothing builds confidence like that. And dating, look, point blank, women feel presence. Women feel when you are truly secure and strong in yourself, when you hold yourself in that way, not by some kind of construct or image that you want to perceive. It's in what you truly believe in yourself. And the last one, purpose, right? Confidence is in building something greater than yourself. And for me, that was obviously Bald Cafe. And for you, it will be something different. But having a true purpose and pushing my potential, nothing built confidence like that, right? And when you stack enough proof in these areas, the man that looks back at you in the mirror has nothing but the highest levels of love and respect for the guy that he sees there. Let's just zoom out here for a second, okay? Does the woman of your dreams, your ideal physique, life's next greatest adventure, or your bank account really care about the hair on your head? They don't. I get it. Baldness feels like the end of those things. But it only feels like the end of those things because you've decided that because of baldness, that's where those things end. And I get it, right? I literally thought the exact same thing. Sat there, slumped in my chair, thinking that my life was over. I can forget about this, I can forget about that. At least my dog loves me. I thought the exact same thing. But then actually for me, and thousands of other men, it actually became the beginning So what changed, right? Well, we took the leap, and that completely opened our eyes to what was possible. Where's my rice? And we started directing attention into things that can compound. Strength, skills, ability, presence. Things that can compound and truly grow. So if you're asking, okay, Harry, what shall I focus on? Well, the first step is to define exactly what a good life means for you. What is the life that you want? And then we build it. So let me show you exactly how to do that. And before I show you how to do that, the baldmaxing blueprint, let me just show you where most people go wrong. Now, what most people do is, like me in the initial stages, right? They chase a previous version of themselves, looking backwards. They focus on external validation for a feeling of inner confidence, which is never going to match up. And they find more ways to cover their balding and push pain away, which actually leaves them being trapped. Or maybe they give up, right? They shave, which is great, but they see it as a move of giving up. It's always a negative, and they're always resentful and bitter because of it. Now, all of these things lead to feeling hollow, feeling stuck, never feeling fully satisfied. It's a very negative feeling. And I say more stuck because when you do things, especially like finding more ways to hide your balding, you get stuck in this cycle, right? You feel that fear and anxiety over your balding, worried about things like, can people see it? That girl on that date is not going to want to have a second date with me, or she's going to ask me about it. You know, someone's going to make another comment. Someone's going to take my hat off, whatever. And so you hide the balding to protect yourself from that fear and anxiety. Then you feel better in the short term, right? Okay, got the hat on, feel less anxious. But actually what happens is you believe into those fears more and you stay stuck in that cycle, right? You literally go and go and go, you stay stuck. First thing you need to do is figure out exactly what you want. If you literally just do this first step, you're going to be ahead of more people. You're going to be ahead of everyone because most people are stuck in that cycle. They don't even have the energy to figure this out. So figure out exactly what you want. Is it the confidence? Is it the relationship? Is it that feeling of self-belief? Is it life experiences? Maybe you just want the six-pack, okay? What is it? Now, why do you think you can't get there? Probably, if you're here, it's because of some sort of uncertainty around the balding. You think that's a massive negative holding you back, right? Well, look at what hasn't been working for you, right? Think back to what you've been doing to try and solve this problem of not getting to where you want to be, right? Not getting this stuff that you want. And stop doing that, right? Stop doing what hasn't worked. Now, here's what you need to do. You need to take the opposite action, right? If you've been stuck in that cycle, here's the baldmaxing way. Take opposite action. The first thing you want to do in this journey is undo the hiding that has kept you stuck and afraid and lacking self-belief, okay? Now, I appreciate that that is a big step to undo all that hiding, which is obviously why in the coaching program, right, in the baldmaxing brotherhood, we have entire in-depth sections on exactly how to do this in step-by-step, but I'm going to show you here also, okay? The first step to doing this is you want to get clear on the fear, because the truth is, the thing that has kept you stuck and unconfident is the fear and anxiety around this balding and not the physical hair, okay? So get clear on what's held you back. Is it because you think you're going to be unattractive if you go completely bald, right? That fear has been stopping you be the best version of yourself so that you can even approach the dating market, right? So get clear. Get clear on the real costs of what this balding is costing you. Maybe you're spending 30, 40 bucks a month on hair fibers. That's not the real cost. The real cost is things like you waking up in the morning and the first thing you have to do is tend to some balding hair that is no longer serving you and is a huge drain on your energy, on your well-being, on how you feel about yourself. And that's the first thing you do in the morning. It's no wonder you aren't getting to where you want to be if that is where all your attention is going, right, on the negative. Have you stopped swimming? Have you stopped playing sports? Have you stopped taking your girlfriend or your missus out to the nice restaurants, right? Because there's loads of people and there's loads of lights and you're insecure about that, okay? Get clear on the real costs. Next, focus on the positive and negative motivations. So the negative motivations the motivation to want to take to undo this hiding is things like the real costs. The positive motivations is you getting clear on what life you can have after you take the leap to stop hiding the balding, jumping in the ocean, right? All the freedoms that you can have if you're no longer insecure about this, basically. Then you challenge the fears at the perfect pace, okay, by taking the leap, but at the perfect pace. So is it slowly taking off the hat in more situations? Is it just ripping it off, going for that buzz cut, and strolling into work to finally feel that relief that you no longer need to hide, breaking out of that trap, okay? Do it at the perfect pace. Maybe it's the gradual approach like me. Then you keep expanding your comfort zone. Show it in front of more people. Show it on social media. Show up to the gym. Okay, this new look. Expose yourself and keep confronting more areas in life. I was afraid to go on a solo trip for 2 years, right? Until I took the leap to go on it. You keep progressing and your new reality of what's possible for you is unlocked, okay? This is the baldmaxing mindset. Because after you stop hiding, you have new belief and a new reality, right? You can live unrestricted, which leads to even more confidence, more self-belief, more leaps. This isn't just about shaving off your hair. That's the first step in all of this, okay? But that unlocks a new reality of what is truly possible for you. You start to believe in yourself rather than staying stuck and going in the opposite direction, right? Less self-belief. You think you need a hat just to feel good. No, that's not the baldmaxing way. The baldmaxing way is to confront what you are afraid of, overcome it, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize I was capable of this stuff, and you keep going. And that's when you achieve the best physique of your life, the best finances, the best relationships, the best life experiences, the highest levels of confidence that you can have in yourself. And that's how you reach your true potential, okay? Let me show you some examples here. My man Gigi, he'd had a hair transplant, but he was stuck using hair fibers. And this was costing him his true enjoyment of life. Things like, I'll show you where he lived in a minute, but things like he couldn't even jump in the ocean freely. He'd make excuses why he couldn't do that, right? Things like waiting for a previous partner to have to go to bed before him, before he can wash out those fibers, right? And it kept him stuck. We worked through exactly what was keeping him stuck. And 3 weeks later, he undid the hiding. And then he was free to do the things he truly wanted to do. This was his life after the leap. Jumping in the ocean. I forgot to mention, he couldn't even ride his motorcycle, his pride and joy, because he couldn't be dealing with taking the helmet on and off, and having that balding exposed. Well, obviously, the baldmaxing blueprint unlocked this for him again. And he's still going. He's still going. He always wanted to do these trips, and now he's on them. Absolutely rocking it hard. Of course, you got my own transformation. Okay, me lacking self-confidence, I was lost. That's obviously why I had a massive meltdown about my balding, because all of how I felt about myself was tied to this outward appearance. But through the baldmaxing blueprint, okay, taking those steps, I was able to achieve things like this incredible best physique of my life. But it's things like having this purpose, right, that serves me every day, talking about Bulk Cafe in front of a ton of people. This soul-fulfilling trip that I'd wanted to go on for years, pushing my limits. By the way, side note, I'm terrified of heights. But it's in that baldmaxing mentality that I was like, I've wanted to do this trip for years. I'm going to go and challenge myself. And that was best experience, one of the best experiences of my life, okay? You got a man like Christian. Oh my goodness me, I'm so proud of this guy, okay? When Christian came to me, he'd been stuck wearing this hair system for years, okay? And he was so afraid about if he took this off, how would it affect his dating life? But the hair system was restricting him in so many ways, right? And he didn't have that self-belief. And so we put together the roadmap, okay? His life after he was to do it, which gave him the excitement to take the leap. And look at him now, getting in the best shape of his life, dating like insane women. Obviously, I've kept her, anonymous, but beautiful women. And these were the reaction from other women, right? He had no reason to fear this. Obviously, it's natural that he did, but he's smashing it. And we don't stop there, okay? That was only step one. That's only like the start of baldmaxing, okay? He's still going. I wish I could show you his vision board because it's absolutely insane. Of course, my man like Dale, once afraid to go bald and having vague dreams of being performing his music. Now look at him, playing on stages in front of huge crowds, thanks to baldmaxing. You got Faku, he'd shaved his head, but he was very much hiding behind hats for years, even in front of his family, okay? We put together exactly what he needed to do to break free from this hat trap, and now he is. Him sharing that on social media was massive for him, massive, okay? A big thing that was keeping him stuck. Now he's thriving, thanks to baldmaxing. And my man Mohammed, okay, when he came to me, obese, stuck in life, procrastinating, we put together the plan. We worked together. So proud of this man because he really did put in the work. And 3 months of working with me, okay, inside the baldmaxing brotherhood, he dropped 15 kilograms of body fat. You can just imagine what this did for his confidence. Everyone was noticing. Amazing. Look, this is a man on the left here that was too embarrassed to take these photos initially, right? This is a man determined because this was just the start. This 15 kilograms of body fat loss was just the start for him, okay? Incredible transformation. And that is what's truly possible. That's just some of what's possible, the baldmaxing blueprint.
Right then, let me catch my breath. Hopefully you can hear me. You've seen the baldmaxing blueprint, okay? And that is not only how you overcome those balding insecurities, anything related to that, but go way further. And if that has really resonated with you, which it probably has, which is why you're still watching, listen, you know me as Harry, right? This guy on YouTube, Bald Cafe, helps men shave their head off. Behind the scenes of all of that, I've been working super hard on doing much, much more than that. At the start of this video, I told you that there's one thing that keeps me up at night, right? And that is men like you staying stuck with insecurity, not believing in themselves, staying insecure, staying unconfident, and not achieving their potential that is literally laying in wait for them to grab. I have been building a program, building a brotherhood, building a network of guys that I directly coach one-on-one. We all do it together inside what I'm calling the baldmaxing Brotherhood. And right now, this is your opportunity. If you are that guy that finally wants to achieve this transformation, this is your opportunity to finally do it, get inside, and not only work alongside me one-on-one, someone who has helped hundreds of people achieve the transformation that you want, but also work alongside other men that are trying to do and have done the exact same thing that you want to, okay? A collective of men who are driven, who are passionate, who are ambitious. You can be one of these guys. You can go from inspired to inspiration, and you can do it right now by clicking down below, click that link and fill out that form. What that is going to do is going to show me that you're serious, and I will reach out to you if I think you're a good fit. You and I will have a call to discuss if I can truly help you, and also to make sure you're ready, make sure you're committed. I open up 10 spots to this group each month, and for the first 5 of those men, I reward them with a $1,000 discount on all of this. And I do that because it shows me that those men are the most committed, those men are the action takers, and that is something that I always will reward and always want to reward. So if you are that man, if you feel like you are an action taker and you are finally ready to break free from this insecurity and go way further, achieve insane results alongside me, think about how much faster you can get to where you want to be if you are a part of this group of men and working with me directly one-on-one. Click down below that link. Again, the first 5 people will get that discount. I really encourage you to book that call. Fill out that form and book that call, because at the very worst, you and I will have a call and you can leave that call with some free advice. And at the very best, you will be well on your way to fast tracking the results that you want. Now, if that's you, fill out that form. For everyone else, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.